All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners for Saturday, August 10th, 2019 to order. Commissioner Hubbs, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we have the roll call of the commission, please?
Chairman Johnston.
Here.
Vice Chairman East. Here. Commissioner Almberg.
Here.
Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Cavilla. Here. Commissioner Hubbs. Here. Commissioner Keel.
Here.
Commissioner McNinch. Commissioner Valentine.
Here.
And as noted yesterday, Commissioner Barnes is absent due to the circumstances in Elko and his ranching operation, and Commissioner McNinch is attending to some family issues as well, or family reunion, I believe so. County advisory boards, would you let us know who's all here today? Thank you all. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the approval of the agenda. For possible action, the commission will review the agenda and may take action to approve the agenda. The commission may remove items from the agenda, continue items for consideration, or take items out of order. Any questions or comments on the agenda? I have one. Given the locale today and the nature of the agenda, I was hoping to have public comment, agenda item 21 now and at the end of the meeting, to give people who may have a public comment unrelated to the agenda items 2 opportunities, if that's okay. This is an action item. Any public comment on approval of the agenda? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for any discussion or motion.
Chairman, I move to approve the agenda with the change that we'll hear public comment now and at the end of the day, as well as that we heard 18A yesterday.
Second that.
Okay. I have a motion by Vice Chairman East, seconded by Commissioner Hubbs. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. With that, I will have public comment period now. Persons wishing to speak are requested to complete a speaker's card and present it to the recording secretary. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the commission at this time. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. Any public comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. And move on to agenda item 16. Member items, announcements, and correspondence. Informational. Commissioners may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the commission. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. The commission will review and may discuss correspondence sent or received by the commission since the last regular meeting and may provide copies for the exhibit file. Commissioners may provide hard copies of their correspondence for the written record. Correspondence sent or received by Secretary Walsley may also be discussed. I just want to thank everyone out here for this wonderful hospitality for the meeting. The lunch yesterday, there's a gift bag for the commissioners up here, I think from some local businesses and materials from White Pine County. The dinner last night at Cave Valley Ranch. It's been an exceptional meeting. Great opportunity to see some projects on the ground. It's just been a wonderful trip out here to Ely, and I guess technically we were in Lincoln County last night, so we have to thank everyone. But I think speak for all the commissioners and the people in attendance, people from the department, and how very enjoyable this meeting has been due to the hospitality of the people out here in a part of the state that I unfortunately don't get to come enough to, because every time I come out here, I just enjoy it so much. So I want to thank everybody for that. Secretary Wasley, anything? Anything from any other members of the commission? We'll move on then to agenda item 17, county advisory boards to manage wildlife member items, informational. CAB members may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the commission. Any item requiring commission action will be scheduled on a future commission agenda. Any CAB items? Mr. Reese.
For the record, Mike Reese, Clark County Cab. A discussion item came up at our cab. I should have brought this up yesterday, but there was an EIS comment period that ended last week on BLM. There was a $50 to $190 million project in the Great Basin. It included part of California and Idaho for fire retention, fire breaks, and stuff like that. The question came up, did NDOW comment on that at all? One of the other things that came up with that is, even though it's a $50 to $190 million project, what's the cost to maintain it so that the growth doesn't come back up and stuff on that? So.
Mitch?
Thank you, Chairman and Commission. So last night on our tour, we all drove, seen a lot of big projects going on and the partnership between all the different entities, but it's something that I've talked about throughout the years. Our cabs had discussions, but we all drove by numerous stock wells yesterday. Some of them have a windmill, some they'll put a generator there. With the new solar pumps and the possible water we could have there for the wildlife, I don't know if it'd be a good time to try to get some discussions going, to get an agreement with NDOW and the rancher, if there's an existing well, to try to get some funds to put a solar pump in to utilize that water, because going down through Cave Valley, all them stock wells, that's full of elk and deer every day using that water. And there's a lot of that stuff that's piped, but it's not just there, it's everywhere in the county. Up in Butte Valley last summer, a lot of the guzzlers were dry in the Black Mountain area. Water was pretty limited, but there was stock wells within miles of every guzzler. So if we could try to get something going and some language with these ranchers, I think it'd benefit everyone. Just something we've talked about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional CAB comment? Seeing none, we'll move on then to agenda item 18. 18A was addressed yesterday. So we'll move on to 18B, Application Hunts 2019 report. Scott Bonner from Calcami. Mr. Bonner.
So Scott Bonner is not here today. Mitch is it on? Can you hear me? Okay. So from Calcami, Mitch Strobel and Zach Lambert, we will be giving the presentation today on behalf of Scott Bonner.
Okay.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Mitch Strobel. Zach Lambert representing Calcami Enterprises. We're honored for the opportunity to be here today. Wanted to actually start off by echoing some of the same sentiments of, it's been a great visit. It's very encouraging for us to be here, but also just to listen to everything that's going on with the department. As a contractor vendor, more information never hurts. But furthermore, we were able to kind of get out and caught a few fish last night, which was good. But with that, we were able to interact with some members of the public. And we met, a young man with an archery tag, and it's just kind of neat for us to see that. It's like that tag went through our office, So kind of cool in that regard. I'm also happy to report that in our public survey, 100% of respondents were happy with the system last night and this morning at breakfast. So not a huge sample size, but everything's really good. So as many of you are aware, last year was the first year. This marks the second year of the system. What we're going to be reporting today is the draw period. So please note that in a lot of these slides, you're going to have partial data. For example, on the mountain lion tag, we'll address this. Because the year's not complete, we can't report complete data. So some of this, and we'll try to mention those specifically, it may look like numbers are down. That's because we're only in August, and there are still some months for us to sell products. With that, we'll go ahead and jump in. And if there are any questions, obviously throw up a hand, stop us midstream. That's 100% okay. All right, so in the 2019 application period, we saw a bump of about 4,000 unique clients. All right, so these are unique individuals that applied for something in the draw. Last year, just under 70,000. This year, just at 74,000. And then this next slide here, we basically broke it down by age group. This is something that we try to track and monitor because we do want to look at the average age of our applicants. And we're happy to report that from 2017 to 18, we saw, that average age shift about a year. And we saw the same thing this year from 2018 to 19. The average age of all of our customers shifted about 1 year. So in total, our average age is at 43.4 years of age. Can you turn that just a hair? Okay. Big game applications. You can see the net swing there. We're up to about 308,000 applications. So again, these are going to be total applications. Our average application per customer really didn't change from 2018 to 19. It stayed just about the same. So it's good in that we didn't see it go down, and certainly we wouldn't mind it going up, but staying about the same is also a positive. And then again, breaking this down by age group, you can see the growth per age group there. One thing that we're always looking at are kind of our core demographic between really 26 and 50. We did see a little decline from 51 to 55, but all of the other age groups look pretty good. This is a breakdown of the average applications by age group. And then we also look at the average dollars spent by unique clients, which we did see a $2 swing per client this year in 2019. And when you look at that per age group, you can just see the difference. I want to say that largely we increased in all age brackets except for the 11 to 15-year-olds. Last year, I believe we were asked to do a by county breakdown. So we included that in this year's report. I think the takeaway here is that we did not decline in a single county. We were up everywhere. If you look at your, Clark, I'm always scared of pronunciation here, Washoe. Got it? Good? Okay. Elko, you can see some increases there. And again, these are unique clients per county. Now, unfortunately, you do not have this slide in your printed versions. I apologize for that. It was an oversight on my behalf. But we also wanted to look at this across the country. So what we're seeing is, if it's blue, we saw between 100 and 1,000 people essentially from that state put into Nevada's draw. But you can see your kind of heavy hitters there, 48,000 residents. Your surrounding states, California, large contributor there with 9,000 unique customers that participated in the draw. Arizona with just over 1,000, so kind of your surrounding states there. And then Texas, also pretty large contributor there. If it's brown, it's under 100 people per state. But we want the commission to know this is something that we're always watching because there's interest from other states, and we like to see that growing as well. What we're going to do now, there are a lot of slides. We're breaking it down by species. So Zach's going to step in and take care of those. But to represent this, we have it broken down by age group, but you'll see in the bottom of every slide toward the right, we do have the total number of applications, and then withdrawn, unsuccessful, and successful. So if you just want to see totals, that was a comment from last year. We've included those this year, but we also have the by age breakdown.
Good morning. For the record, Zach Lambert. I'm a product manager at Calcami, and I'll take us through all of the species applications. Each application, we break down the data relatively the same. If you have any questions about a specific species, let me know, and we can pause and go through that. Otherwise, I'll summarize every species, and then we can field questions at the end. What you're looking at here is a summary of bighorn sheep apps by status and age group. In this slide, we're actually specifically looking at ram applications, your Nelson ram, California ram, and Rocky Mountain ram. This year, we saw a total of 49,912 applications for ram tags in Nevada, with 494 successful applicants. For U applications, we saw a total of 1,388 applications. This includes California U and Nelson U applications, with 126 total successful applicants. We did break down bonus points a little bit differently for sheep applications, specifically because we do have a lot of folks who, rather than putting in for a tag, do opt to put in for a bonus point for sheep as they build their points. So this is broken out by every species of sheep and every species sex of sheep, between California ewe and ram, Nelson ewe and ram, and Rocky Mountain ram. In total, you can see here 23,815 bonus point applications for sheep this year. Mountain goat applications, we saw 5,271 with 8 successful applicants drawing tags for mountain goat. And bonus point applications, we saw 3,546 bonus point applications for mountain goat. For elk applications, this includes cow elk and bull elk, as well as your depredation hunts, as well as your management cow elk hunts. Here's a breakdown by status for every elk application. So in total, we took 60,248 elk applications in 2019, with 6,532 applicants drawing a tag. And then bonus point wise, you can see we took 15,189 bull elk bonus point applications. Cow elk bonus point applications were 3,590, and 744 spike elk bonus point applications. Deer applications, this contains doe applicants, buck applications, as well as the junior antlered and antlerless tag applications. In total, our largest by volume of applications for a species, 67,823 deer applications, with 15,934 successful applications. And our breakdown for bonus point applications, we see a lot less. Go ahead.
Are the bonus point applications, is that just bonus point, or is that if you didn't draw, you get your bonus point?
These are specifically applications where the client opted for a bonus point
Just
only
a bonus.
rather than a chance to draw a tag.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So we do see very few deer bonus point applications, just because deer odds are slightly higher and people put in for the tag more on those. And this is a breakdown between doe and buck applications. So a total of 2,209 antlerless mule deer applications and 65,612 antlered mule deer applications. Bear applications, we saw a total of 2,876 bear applications with 45 successful applicants, and 2,532 bonus point only applications for bear tags. Pronghorn antelope, we saw 33,392 applications with 4,546 successful tag applications. And also for pronghorn antelope, 11,267 applications, and that is inclusive of horns longer than years applications and horns shorter than years applications. Okay. We also have been asked to provide a breakout of Silver State tag revenue applications. We're happy to say that we are up slightly in every category over 2018. Almost an $8,000 increase in elk applications, almost a $3,000 increase in sheep Silver State applications, quite a big increase in antelope applications, and about an $8,000 increase in deer applications for Silver State tags.
All right, thank you, Zach. Again, Mitch Strobel for the record. So mountain lion tags, like I talked about earlier, when you look at 2019, this is really just a snapshot of where we're at year to date, and we have it broken down there by, tags online and over the counter. When we look at totals, 2018, you can actually see the full snapshot now, as we were unable to report the full year during this presentation last year. And then year to date, we're at around 2,500 tags for mountain lions this year. So any questions on the species before we go into the rest of the presentation?
Any question?
Okay, thank you. One thing that we did see this year, we're always tracking.
Hold on a second. I think
Yes.
Commissioner Hubbs may have
Go
a
for it.
question.
Just as I'm looking at the whole thought process of buying the bonus points, I'm assuming you do that when you're trying to hedge your bets for a harder draw. Is that what the intent is behind it? And when you just don't even want to apply for a tag, but just want to get the bonus point, or just maybe you can't do that hunt this year, but you want to increase your likelihood of it occurring in another year? Is that the whole strategy there?
I think it depends on the individual. I know there's years when I have a hunt or a trip planned, and I just know I'm only going to put in for bonus points that year, just because I don't want to draw. This is just me personally. I don't want to draw a certain tag that year, knowing I won't have the time to give to that tag because of another scheduled trip or something.
For a very hard draw, one that has a very low probability of success, can you even draw that species without having or accruing bonus points? What are the odds of that, just out of curiosity?
Zach Lambert for the record. I believe what you're asking, Commissioner Hubbs, is there a point at which you don't even have enough points to draw a tag, so you only opt in for bonus points only? That's not necessarily the case with the way we do things in Nevada. I'm going to give a presentation at the end of today on the draw process itself. Essentially, every applicant and application is assigned a number of bonus points, and bonus points are derived based on how long you've been applying for that tag. Every year you're unsuccessful, you gain a bonus point. Theoretically, we generate random numbers based on the number of bonus points an application has. So theoretically, if you have 0 bonus points, you go into the draw with 1 random number. In theory, that 1 random number could draw you a tag over somebody who has 20 bonus points. NDOW, the department, they publish really good statistics on draw odds. I think it's called the bonus point tables, where it's publicly available information where clients can look at your odds for each unit, the people who drew tags, how many bonus points they did have. So there are some educational materials to help customers make more informed decisions on that regard. But there's nothing stopping somebody with a lower point balance from possibly drawing over somebody with a higher point balance. Somebody with a higher point balance simply has more tickets to the raffle.
Understood. Okay.
Yep.
And I just note, you can see like on the BIGHORN apps, there was 8 successful applicants in the 11 to 15 age group. So it shows you have a chance, even with your first application, and no bonus point.
Okay,
Any other questions?
we'll continue.
Thank you.
So one thing that we always monitor, what type of devices are people using when in the system? And one thing we did see change from 2018 to 19, our mobile traffic actually decreased. Last year it was over 50%, right at 51. This year we were down around, if you include tablets, which we do consider mobile, right, you can see 47%. We believe that's a combination of a couple things. One, last year, people were wanting to get into the system. I think we all remember that. Wanted to make sure their accounts, were active, were good, all their points were there. So we had a lot of people logging in, from their mobile phones. We did see kind of a change on the map page. So for those that applied, the state of Nevada, the map where you can select your unit, that's a better experience on a desktop. Bigger screen, you can zoom in, zoom out. So we believe that's one of the reasons, people learned that last year. So we did see more people on a desktop this year. But that's something that we're always monitoring because we want to know how people are accessing the system so that we can design toward a better user experience. We also look at what type of mobile devices because, again, that's going to drive development. So the system is built to be what's called responsive web design. So it essentially looks at the type of device that you're on and adjusts the dimensions of the screen accordingly. And we even look at what type of browsers are used. So this is all, we're just reporting this because we want you to know these are things that we're looking at in real time to make sure that our users have a positive experience. What we'll get into next, breakdown of new customers. So there is the concept of churn rate, right? We lose some people, we gain some applicants as well. We had 4,400 brand new customers. So to us, a new customer means someone that has no record in the system in the past, right? They created their account. This was their first application in 2019. A reactivated customer is someone that was in the system, had applied in the past, but not in 2018. And then they came back in 2019, right? So that could just be, I'm going through this personally, having a child makes it a little more difficult to hunt. Maybe I drop out for a couple years. I would be considered a reactivated customer when I come back to the game. So full, net swing of 14,000 total new customers, but we thought it was important to kind of break that down between actual brand new customers versus reactivated customers. Anything you want to add? Okay. When we look at the brand new customers, you do see, 28% of those are in the 11 to 15 age bracket. So that's because they now qualify for the draw. And then you can see, from 16 through to 80 plus, the percentage of the new applicants there. Really seeing 11, 12, 10% in that 26 to 40 range again. Reactivated customers, you can see the age responses there. Again, most of the activity between that 26 to 40. When we look at the lost customers, we thought it was worth noting the spike between 16 to 20. And talking with the department, we think this is a combination of busy with sports, busy with school, might be going to college, getting a job. There's a lot going on at that phase in life, so we do see a more significant drop off in that age category. But if you kind of remove that and just look at the trend, it's pretty average across all of the age categories here. If they opted into auto renew, that is possible, which we will cover. Zach.
Yep. So one thing we did want to highlight in our presentation, two rather not large, but two changes that the commission enacted for 2019 was the collection of whether or not customers wanted their information to be shared, as well as whether or not customers wanted their information to be posted on the draw results list that we post on NDOWlicensing.com. So we did feel it was appropriate to cover that here in this presentation. I believe that the department's purpose for this was to make a distinction for how they manage data that is requested from the department as opposed to data that the department posts publicly. So the first question that was asked to every applicant this year, it's a new detail that is stored on everybody's record, is your name and contact information may be requested by third parties such as guides, taxidermists, market researchers, etc. How would you like the department to respond to such requests? This setting may be changed under your account profile at any time. So every customer who has bought a license or interacted with the department has answered this question in 2019. We saw that 8% of customers wanted their information to be shared, and 92% of customers wanted their information to be kept private. The other new thing this year is for the draw results that we post on NDOWlicensing.com. This question will be asked to clients every year that they apply. So this number could ebb and flow as we change year to year. That question read, the department publicly posts the results of each big game tag draw on NDOWlicensing.com every year. How would you like the department to manage all of your draw results this year? We saw that 54% of customers wanted their draw results on the public list, and 46% of customers desired to keep their draw results private.
So that's reflective of every applicant because every applicant had to answer the question.
For the record, Zach Lambert, you would not have been able to submit an application without answering that question, either of those questions.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm trying to get around this stool. Thanks. Can we go back to that slide again? I just want to so the very first one is that customers want to keep their information private or non-private. So I'm just trying to discern the difference between private and then the draw list. Is that not, or draw results not public?
For the record, Zach Lambert, the way I understand it, and the department may clarify me on this a little bit, the information sharing is for information that is requested from the department. For example, if a boat dealership wanted to have the boat information and email of every customer in Clark County who registered a boat in 2019, things of that nature would be included on that information, like what the department provides. We do give customers the option to keep their draw results private, which is something the department will post at the end of every big game tag draw every year. So it's a distinction between data that's requested out of the department versus data that the department publicly makes available.
Okay, and then just going back to the guides, just because I was thinking of that. So which list are the guides asking for? Is it the one at the bottom from the
No, I think
department?
it's the one where 92% of the people said, I want my information kept private would be the sellable list. Is that correct?
That's what I was trying to understand.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay.
And just for, I didn't look at the draw results this year as I had in years past. In years past, when the draw results came out, it might say Brad Johnston, Yerington, unsuccessful for everything, as my track record generally is. But then there is the successful list, but it wouldn't have like your address. It would, I think it had your hometown and name and then the result. It didn't have like, well, my address is on the NDOW website, so 18 Jacob Road, Yerington, Nevada was not on that list of successful, unsuccessful draw applicants. Whereas I believe on the saleable list, it is.
That is correct. The successful draw results list lists the applicant's name, I believe the city at which their physical address is, as well as their awarded hunt, which would be a combination of a unit, a weapon class, and a season and species.
Vice Chairman East?
Oh, Zach, can you remind me what the numbers were from 2018? For the first, I know we didn't ask the second question, but I know we asked the first question, the privacy question. Do you
Mitch
have
is
that?
going to pull that up because I don't want to give you an approximation
I know it was
that's
about
inaccurate.
80, but
I want to say, so last year the question was opt in and out of shareable information or something to that effect. We use that information for both the sellable list and the draw results. Mitch may have it here. I believe it was, I'd hate to give you an approximation. I think it was 70% wanted private and 30% wanted public. Is that?
I thought it was higher than that, but
Okay.
So I think that was
85.
in addition to the report last year. Can we get
yeah,
back to the commission on that?
absolutely. Yeah, thanks.
Want to make sure that that's a
Yep.
true statistic.
Yep.
Commissioner Hubbs?
So just again, on the draw list, all it's going to say is the applicant's name, not where they're from, not anything else, just whether their name, whether they were successful or unsuccessful. So we don't know if they're from Texas, we don't know if they're from Nevada, we don't know any other information about that person except their name and whether they were successful or not.
I would need to look at the list to make sure. I am not 100% sure off the top of my head if we include the state, or not the state, the city of the applicant, where their physical address is. It's on NDOWlicensing.com on the homepage right now. I will take a look and let you know as soon as we're done.
Can you speak to that? Jack?
Yep.
Jack, do you know that off the top of your head?
I don't know that off the top of my head, Jack Robb for the record, but in response to Commissioner East's question about the percentages, off the top of my head, it was 85% opted out, 15% went in. But it wasn't a true number because if you registered a boat, participated in a turkey application period, or participated in a non-resident guide draw period, that opt-out was not available to those customers because it wasn't built in yet. So that number is not a true reflection because there was customers that wasn't afforded to at the beginning. It was something that was built in over time.
I just pulled it up on my phone, and it will give last name, first name, city, state, the hunt, the weapon, the unit group, and the season dates.
So anyone, to me, if you get that type of information, you could maybe do some work yourself and track down that individual and try to reach them if they're on the draw list. Is that, I mean, I'm thinking you could still use it as a tool, I guess.
I've never really tried it, but I'm assuming you're absolutely correct. I mean, if you have the successful list and it has name and hometown, I think you'd have to like go to the old type phone book type on. They're not, they're online now. I don't think anyone has a phone book anymore, but I guess you could see if their address is there if you wanted to contact them. But you certainly have it by unit group and season dates.
Right.
Yep. I think the main thing we'd like to communicate on this is that customers did have the choice this year, and every person had to make a choice. And the statistics are what they are. We'll track this as it changes over the years.
And I
last slide here.
certainly can't find my name on the successful draw list, so.
Okay, so now in your printed presentations, there are more slides. That's part of Zach's presentation later. This is the last slide of our planned big game presentation. This slide probably deserves a better title. This is more of just a holistic look of where we're at year to date. So you do see in 2018, the totals, the bold number 52,589 would be the number of people that chose for auto renew, selected auto renew. And then boat registrations, hunting licenses, and fishing licenses as year-to-date, as a year-to-date comparison, right? And then 2019, you see 59,000, you see 39,87, 108. Again, those are boat registrations, hunting licenses, and fishing licenses. And then on the last column, you have the net swing from 2019 versus 18. We saw a 13% increase in the number of people that selected auto renew, and a 5% increase in boat registrations, 6% in hunt licenses, 3% in fishing, but I'd like to actually add a little detail on fishing. Seasonality was interesting this year. I want to say that it was kind of a unique spring everywhere across the country, but we did see summer maybe hit a little bit later than normal, so we were down on fishing licenses quite a bit up through about a month or two ago, and we've seen a big spike in the past couple months that's brought our year-to-date averages up 3%. But if you just look at those 60 days, we're running 15 to 20% up now that weather's better, people are out there fishing. So it's interesting to see the seasonality play out and how weather impacts activity. Any questions or clarifications on this slide? Okay. Well, that concludes the 2019 draw report. We're happy to answer any questions. We will be here the rest of the day and can speak to any of those. Otherwise, you guys know that we appreciate the opportunity to be here and to talk with you. If you have suggestions for next year's presentation, we would love to hear those. This is really a continuation of the report that the vendor has given to the commission in the past, but we want to keep that kind of fluid and open to recommendations to where we could improve it in the future.
Deputy Director Robb.
Before we move away from this subject, I want to highlight a couple things that we talked about last year that we haven't really mentioned this year. When that draw occurred in Dallas, Texas, There was one individual from Nevada in that building, and it was our Deputy Attorney General, Craig Burkett. He was the only person from Nevada. We have quite a bit of NDOW staff, a couple of data gurus down there, Matt Maples and Cody McKee. We have business process gurus down there, Julie Meadows and Maureen Hollinger. And then Tim, who was acting for Chet at the time, and myself, and then Mr. Burkett witnessed the validation process pre and post, and was the only person in the room witnessing the draw when that occurred. Our staff leaves, and Craig is not there representing the Department of Wildlife. He's there representing the sportsmen and the citizens of the state of Nevada to make sure it's a fair and equitable process throughout. And I don't know if Craig has anything to add to that, but I just want to stress that we do everything we can to make sure that all the business processes are followed. Everything is lock solid with the number of pre-draws we do to validate. I think we did, it was in excess of 10 draw cycles before we actually did the real draw, and did tremendous amount of validation before to make sure all the business process rules applied, and that bonus points were applied right, that waiting periods were applied right, that everything worked. So we're going above and beyond to make sure that this process is lock solid. So I don't know if Mr. Burkett has anything to add to that, but.
I got it this time. I don't. I'm going to talk here in a minute and give you a litigation report, and maybe I'll add on to what you just said. But I can verify that I was the only individual on behalf of the state of Nevada who was in the room when the draw took place for the entirety of the time. And that was of great importance to all the individuals there acting on behalf of the Department of Wildlife. I obviously was not at that time, but representing the citizens of the state. And I can verify that it was done completely on the up and up. And I was actually very impressed with the amount of work that the department did in advance of that draw to make sure that the draw was taking place without all of these statistical anomalies or failures that are amazing, actually, with all the people that did the work there. It was pretty impressive. They worked late into the night, multiple nights, to make sure that this draw took place in a good manner, in an efficient manner. So I can verify that.
Vice Chairman East.
These are really great numbers. The growth that we've seen, the growth in some of the age groups, the younger age group. Do we have any idea what to attribute it to? Better education, maybe more access? Any ideas there?
Jack Rowe for the record. We are doing a whole host of outreach. We're working with Go Hunt, who that's what their name is, and that's truly what they believe in. It's not go chase big stuff like some of them. It's Go Hunt. And it shows how to get into the field. It's hitting a different demographic. We're texting. We're doing things that we historically hadn't, and we're trying to communicate in different ways, making it mobile friendly. I believe is a huge advantage. Maybe next year we can do a breakdown of. There was a breakdown of laptop compared to mobile device. Maybe we could break that down by age to see how that works out. But our outreach has changed. We worked with Epic Outdoors by increasing the deadline of the draw 2 weeks this year. The draw period, or the application period, is actually open 2 additional weeks. We got behind New Mexico and Montana big game draws. We were about 5 days behind New Mexico's big game draw results coming out. And by doing so, we were able to communicate with people that applied in New Mexico, and New Mexico has quite a few people from out of state apply because there's no bonus points. Everybody's on an even playing field, but New Mexico requires you to put in all your money up front. So there was a bunch of disappointment, a bunch of people that had money in their pocket because they had received their refund for being unsuccessful in the New Mexico draw. So we specifically targeted New Mexico people we believed applied in New Mexico. So there was different strategies we employ, working with the Go Hunts, the Epic Outdoors, Calcami Outreach, our outreach. We're employing different strategies to modern e-commerce, and it's paying off.
One more question. Have you seen any or heard any feedback from the vendors that sell licenses, like the Cabela's, the Walmarts, the CVS's? Have you heard any feedback from them about a drop in sales or disappointment or anything based on the auto renewals?
Jack Robb for the record. Not specifically. As Director Wasley brought up yesterday, Sports World here locally is the #1 independent selling licenses. And even though we're converting people to auto renewal and we're making it easier for them, those outlets are still a big portion of our business. A lot of one-day licenses are sold there.
Okay.
We track those separately. We're trying to educate people. You can get online, get outside, but there's people that still like to go to Walmart and buy their fishing license to go fishing because they're buying some tackle and worms at the same time. It's just convenience.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Valentine?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that there was a live video feed of the actual draw. Nobody has actually mentioned it. It wasn't the most exciting video I've ever watched in my life, but it did validate the fact that the draw was occurring and that Craig was there.
Mitch Strobel for the record. We understand a spinning circle is not the most exciting thing to watch. We've tried to be very transparent about the fact that there's not much you can see, but that's actually why we're going to be giving the other part of the presentation today so that people can understand what's going on behind the scenes. We've even joked about should we put a matrix thing up there just for something to watch, but there's really nothing to see. So I would like to take a moment and just go back to the marketing and outreach. One thing that we're coordinating with the department on that I'm excited about is content marketing, making sure that all of your big blogs and websites put Nevada on the map. Unfortunately, some of these content companies overlook Nevada as a prime state to hunt, which is wrong. We believe that it's the best state to hunt, right? So we're coordinating with those third parties to try to get better content out there so that folks know of the hunting opportunities that Nevada has to offer. So,
Commissioner Hubbs, you have a question?
Just in line with something stated by Deputy Director Robb, in terms of the new applications coming in, do you have information to show how many came in from in-state versus out-of-state? I didn't see a slide as to that.
Mitch Strobel for the record. We do have that information. We did not present it this time, but we can report that.
I just quick comment. I think last year, with the first time around, it was positive feedback from everybody, but it was also the users getting used to a new system. This year, talking to people who participate in the draw and their second time around with the system, I heard nothing but universal positive feedback. Some people were like, I put in for the same thing every year. It popped up, said, do you want the same as last year? Yep. They go, I was done. Like that. I think the product is just wonderful when I'm online. I love having the map just to look at, even though I know where I'm gonna put things in. It makes it easier rather than it's just a much more user-friendly system, and I think it's a very good product. So I just want to say that.
Mitch Strobel for the record. Thank you. And actually, our focus on UX should be considered part of the marketing strategy as well. You know, a lot of those efforts, such as, would you like to use your same, applications as last year? That can lead to a reduced bounce rate, right? So more people getting deeper into the system through to the transaction page versus, maybe bouncing, as we would call it, or leaving the website. So we're always looking to improve those things. As people have feedback, obviously, please send that to the department for consideration, and it'll make its way to us.
Are you going to proceed now into the rest of the report on the mechanics, or is that later?
We certainly can. What would that'd be the commission's
I
preference?
didn't know if this was going to be part of the cab workshop or...
It's a separate agenda item.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that it would be logical to go to have the next part in conjunction with the cab workshop, because it really kind of goes from survey and inventory to the modeling to the quota process to the actual draw. So it's logical to be grouped with that at the end of that.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you, Zach and Mitch. I appreciate that presentation. Before we move on to 18C, which can sometimes be lengthy, why don't we take a 10-minute break for everybody so we're fresh to hear from Director Wosley.